Good? No.
My mic
Mine's coming on.
have like a little red light. I don't have a red light.
Testing.
You have a red light? Hello?
Oh, my.
Is mine, oh, it's working even without a red light. Okay. Oh, no. All right, I'm going to call the Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 Board of Education meeting to order at 6:30. Welcome, everyone. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So nice to see our room so full tonight. Thank you all for coming. Is there any public comment in the room? Whichever one works for you. Hi, Sarah. I don't think so. If you have to steal Madison's, that's okay too.
Now I know what this feels like. Thank you, man.
You could pick it right up.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Hi, Sarah Nelson, Denison Hill Road, North Stonington, obviously. First, just want to say a huge thank you for all the incredible work that you've done over the past year. Really love being part of North Stonington, and a big part of that is our school. So I just want to get in here and say thank you. I don't think I get to do that enough. So thanks to you and all the administration and all the teachers. It's been an amazing year this year. So I just want to bring up something quick, and bear with me for a minute because I'm gonna tell a little story, because this is kind of how I learned about this. When my husband and I first moved to North Stonington, we had a 6-month-old baby. So we kind of Googled the schools. We knew they were good, but we didn't really think much about it. When my daughter was 1.5, I put her in tumble tots at a local gymnastics studio in Hope Valley. And I actually met a teacher in North Stonington. And I found out that she lived in Stonington. And I was like, oh, how do your kids go to North Stonington? She said, well, there's a teacher benefit and I get to choose if I want to bring my kids to North Stonington. And I was blown away. And I continued to tell that story for years, almost 10 years, since I heard it, because to me, that was the best way to illustrate the pride of this school system, was that when a teacher was given a choice to send their child to Stonington, which is an incredible school system, or North Stonington, they chose to bring them here. I also knew, because for a period of time, I couldn't do half-day daycare. I had my kids enrolled in Pine Point, so I knew that this is often a benefit that private schools provide, so they attract talent, as well as colleges. They use it to attract talent and retain good talent. Somewhere in the last couple of years, I told that story and someone corrected me and said, actually, they took that benefit away. So I'm just here today to just ask if that could be possibly reconsidered and discussed again. I do think teachers are part of our community, whether they live in town or not, and their children should also be part of our community. And we've had such an incredible experience with that over the decades that was part of our policy. Those children have been my children's babysitters. We couldn't imagine life without them. And I just want to put a plug in to maybe reconsider that again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other public comment in the room tonight? And any online? Okay, seeing none. I know if you guys look at the agenda, we have a lot of kids in the room and we have a lot of presentations. So I just wondered if we could do some logistical changes. Lisa's gonna make a motion to shuffle things, to push the students to the front, and then also bring Bob Carlson and Susan Pike a little further up on our agenda.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to move 8C to 5D and to move agenda item 4C to 4B.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Whatever.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, thank you. 8C went to 5D. Okay, so with that out of the way, I would love to call the Give Back Club up to talk to us about what they've been up to. I think that you are also going to have to maybe grab this microphone. That one seems unreliable. Oh,
Thank you. Hopefully that's better, maybe?
yes.
Okay. So the end of March, students from our Give Back Club went on a trip to Maine to work with the Travis Mills Foundation. This is a trip we've done. This is our 4th time working with this foundation. And I just need to brag for a few minutes so that the board knows and our parents know what incredible, amazing students we have at Wheeler High School. There were 15 students that wanted to go on this trip. There were room for the 6 that you see in the picture here. Mrs. Rebecca Costello and I are the co-advisors, and so a lot of planning went into this trip. And to say that our students rise to the occasion is an understatement. You know, when we set the bar high, they just achieve it every time and beyond. And so I'm going to very briefly ask the students to share what their takeaways were. But before they do that, I just want to say that we are the only student group that is allowed to work with the Travis Mills Foundation. If you haven't Googled them, check them out sometime. They're an amazing, amazing foundation in Maine. And it took lots of emails and a little bit of bulldozing, and they kept returning emails to me and saying, you know, Mrs. Schilke, I'm sorry, we don't work with students younger than 18. And I kept saying, yes, but you haven't met the kids from Wheeler. And so eventually they got tired of my emails and said, fine, just come. And we went. And then ever since then, we've had an open invitation to come back over and over. So we live in a beautiful bubble in North Stonington. It's an amazing place, but it's really helpful for our students to get beyond the walls of our community and see what else is in the world. And they just do an amazing job. So I'm going to ask Chloe to come up first and just talk about what we did when we first got here. So I popped up here, I'll explain what we actually did at the Travis Mills Foundation, what I did was there. And so basically a lot of what we did at the Travis Mills Foundation, like basic help that you might not normally see, like in order to think like that, start and they like have. And basically it's important for us to like get out and do all these things, such as cleaning, helping them like do things for keep their like organization running. It's all volunteers like driven. And for us to be able to get out of our small town and see the fun stuff, like what we're able to do. It's just really meaningful to us to get students to hear about the course that are gone through and things they've experienced. We never really get to touch base with them in such a small town. And being able to, that's the foundation right there. It's up in Maine. It's located like Travis included area, but far away. And basically it's like a retreat for them. And so going in there and helping, we were just able to like take care of something special for them and meet them and interact with them the way that might not be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just give me a brief.
Yeah, so that's the next slide. This is the foundation where we work. This is a picture of the kids that were rocking it there. About 6 hours working at the foundation. The foundation provides veterans and their families free of charge from all over the country, all year round. And they're I got more effectively people studies. And it's a number of the Vietnam veterans that were in the breakfast that Vietnam serving at were also at the as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about breakfast itself.
I think we might need that other one. Just go ahead and take it and put it right on the podium with you. It'll be so much better.
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go. When we got there, we would, my job, Chris's job, and Ashley's job was to greet them at the door. And when they would walk in, some of them would just barge right through and would go straight to the breakfast. And some of them would stop and like shake your hand, talk to you. And some of them would get emotional because it's a lot different just at this breakfast being greeted and told welcome home than when they actually got home from the war and they were told that they were spit on and just, it was a lot different because people weren't thankful for what they did in the war, risking their lives. So it was a good thing to see them happy, for teenagers to treat them like we should have back then. So that was my takeaway. One of the men that I shook hands with was tearing up, and he walked right through. When someone said welcome home, he just burst into tears, and he was giving hugs to all of us, and just it was really sweet for him to appreciate what we were doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Ashley. I'm also part of the Give Back Club at Wheeler. And I also wanted to say that, first of all, I'm really grateful for Mrs. Schulke that she takes initiative to take us on all these amazing trips that without her, I don't know really who would, because she's done it since even my brother was in high school. He's done amazing things as well. And politics aside and everything, with such a political war and everything that went on with it, as we all know, it was really beautiful just to come together to see positiveness and to be grateful and not, fight or argue. Just be peaceful with the elderly. I actually really love the elderly. I know a lot of people my generation don't, but also Miss Schilke made a point to say that it's important for older generations to see newer generations being so sentimental. So that was really important, and Wheeler kids do a great job at that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ariana Page. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Wheeler Give Back Club, and this is my second year on this trip. And at this trip, I was an usher, so I would take people from their front door when they were greeted, and I would bring them to a table, kind of sitting them kind of wherever I could feel. And there was one man who came up to me and said, "I have no one left. Everyone in my platoon had died. I know no one here. I have no family with me. I really just don't know where to sit. I'm all alone." And so I took him and I brought him to a table of some people I had sat earlier. And I sat him with them and just kind of introduced him a little bit. And so I came back later in the breakfast and I noticed they were laughing and getting along and bonding over this horrible experience and really not even talking about it very much. Just knowing that they had this shared experience and being able to laugh and talk with each other like they're best friends after knowing each other for barely an hour. So it was really amazing to see how this, even in a horrible event, they were able to bond and really make connections the entire breakfast. So it was a really nice thing to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julia Pelletier. I'm also co-president with Ariana. This is the second year that I've done the breakfast, and one of the takeaways I had was I saw this older woman and she had this sweatshirt on and it said, "Most people in life don't get to meet their heroes, but I married mine." And I thought that was so sweet. So that's them. And I asked her if I could go and take a picture with them, and they were really sweet people. And she was telling us the stories about how when he was away in war, how it was a lot on her also. And even when he came back from the war, they struggled a lot. But I just love that they stayed together and went through it. And they're still together today. So I think that that's very sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we won't spend any more time tonight telling stories, but we could tell lots more. But I hope you get just a glimpse of what our students were able to do. And again, they're the only school group that's there. So there's lots and lots of adult volunteers. But the veterans tend to go to our students, and I love that. And there's sort of an instant connection, and the walls come down, and just some really beautiful things happen. And as the students shared, to be able to just thank these veterans for their service and to say welcome home was really an incredible privilege. On our ride home, the team was scheming ways that they could sabotage the van so that we could stay in Maine longer. And I kept saying, "Guys, you can't do that." But we stopped for lunch in the southern part of Maine. And we were eating and talking about the morning and the breakfast and what we had been able to do. And the waitress came over very seriously and she said, "I need to talk to you." And I thought, students are right here. What could they have done? Like, what's happening? And she said, "Did you see the man that was just walking out of the restaurant?" And I said, very quickly. And she said, "He's a military veteran and he heard you talking and he wanted to pay for your entire lunch for all 8 of you." And so, of course, I got teary, but it was just, again, it's just a cool privilege that we were able to influence people, even that we weren't directly working with. So final story, we were half a mile from the school and Mrs. Costello said to the team, "Look," and there on the top of a tree on Route 2 was a bald eagle. right before we pulled into the school parking lot. Sort of a perfect symbolic way to end this trip. So we just want to say thank you. Thank you to the parents for raising these incredible kids who get it. Thank you for our administration for supporting it, and the Board of Ed. And, till the day I die, I will argue that these trips are really valuable for our students. It's a win for the students from the high school, and it's also the win for those we go to serve. So thank you for your support, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Shilkey and Mrs. Costello, for leading our kids and giving them such an incredible opportunity. And thank you to the students for caring about doing something outside of what you're seeing every day. It certainly means so much, I'm sure, to those people that you were helping, and it means a lot to your community to know that we have people like you out there. So thank you so much. Any board members have questions or comments for the Give Back Club?
I'm going to add one more thing that I forgot. The state of Connecticut has a program called Red, White, and Blue Schools, and you can apply to be a red, white, and blue school. We did that on behalf of the Give Back Club for Wheeler, and we just found out yesterday, day before, that we are one of 10 schools in Connecticut that is considered a red, white, and blue school. Simply means that we really take our civic education seriously and go beyond what's done in the classroom. But nice little feather in our cap for Wheeler.
That's
So.
wonderful. Congratulations.
I just wanted to applaud the Give Back Club, Mrs. Shilkey, and the students. I'm very impressed with your compassion, with the takeaway that you articulated so well, right off the cuff and not in writing. I need to read during public speaking. And you surely made a difference in the lives of those that you served, and I'm sure that they'll remember you forever. Thank you.
I also want to thank the students. You guys do an amazing job. But Ms. Shelkey, the beginning of the year, I didn't know you. I have to tell you, huge fan.
All right, thank you all again. So moving on, we have some awards to give out. Mrs. St. Germain, do you want to come up to the podium?
I know I'm biased, but I am going to say I think we have the best kids ever in North Stonington. So each year, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education recognizes 2 students who exhibit the following traits: a willingness to take on challenges, the capability to make difficult decisions, a concern for others, the ability to work with others, a willingness to commit to a project, diplomacy, the ability to understand issues clearly, and the ability to honor a commitment. This year, the Wheeler admin team and the middle school staff selected the following students who display these characteristics every single day at Wheeler. I would like to first invite Logan Kump up to the podium. Logan always approaches every single day, task, or challenge with a positive attitude and a smile. He regularly displays kindness and respect to all individuals with whom he interacts. Logan always displays strong leadership and diplomacy when working with peers and is a strong citizen within his class. Logan goes out of his way to spread happiness and kindness and is a model representative of how a person can positively impact a climate. Thank you, Logan, for your service to our school, and congratulations on this honor.
Stay up there.
Next, I'd like to invite up Molly Perkins. Molly Perkins has shown consistent effort to contribute positively to her classroom and sports community. Her positive attitude and dedication to doing her best makes her a role model to her peers. She is kind and empathetic and truly cares about her school and classmates. Molly understands current issues and has shown commitment and concern to make decisions that benefit all. Molly is an active member of our Wheeler community and does a great job contributing to the positive school climate in our school each and every day. Congratulations.
Parents, do you want to come up and take any pictures? It's totally okay.
Good job. Awesome.
Rob, do you want to stand up there too?
We're taking pictures with them. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, you guys couldn't see what was happening. That was fun.
Good job. Good job. Great job.
Thank you, Logan and Molly, for being such leaders and role model for the rest of the school community. You guys are great. So next, we want to take a minute and recognize our outgoing student ambassadors. Madison and John were brave enough to take on this role with a board who didn't know what to do with you. We'd never had people like you before, and you were incredible. You were totally up for the challenge. You were prepared. You were enthusiastic. You took your role seriously. You showed up, even though you're both really, really busy students. And you were so thoughtful, and I completely appreciate your ability to just answer questions when we asked you. We just wanted to know, and you were willing to tell us. So thank you both so much for sort of being trailblazers in this for us, for the people that follow you. We'll miss you next year, and good luck in college. So, who do we have first? John Anderson. And Madison Wagner. Thank you both. Do you want them to? Yeah, let's do that. No, you all should get in there. Rob, Allison, and Kristen, you should be in there too.
Thank you. Great.
What you guys don't know is that when I was walking in with Rob, he was singing your praises as well. You guys are great. And our next awardee is Rose Tardif. Rose has been a 4-year all-state athlete and was the ECC Cheerleader of the Year. Rose is an incredible athlete. She's a great teammate. She's an all-around really fantastic kid, and we're so proud of you, Rose. Congratulations. Well, let's, do you want to stand for some pictures so that Sherry and Mark can get a good one? Thank you all again. We're so lucky here in North Stonington to have such a wonderful group of kids. Thank you all. Now, April, would you like to come up and give your presentation on student support services?
I know, right? I have to go after the kids.
I'm sorry.
I mean, oh my goodness. Oh, this is going to be interesting. All right. I know everybody's like, bye, everybody. April's talking, I'm out. All right. I think we can go ahead and Click forward. One. All right, so good evening. Welcome to our special services presentation for North Stonington Public Schools. I'm genuinely delighted to have you here with us today. Our primary goal is to ensure that every student feels safe, valued, and has a profound sense of belonging within our school community. Tonight, I'll be highlighting the key initiatives and strategies we have implemented to support our students with special needs. We'll explore our co-teaching efforts, differentiated instruction, restorative practices, and social and emotional support. Each of these components plays a vital role in creating a nurturing and effective learning environment for every student. Additionally, I'll discuss our commitment to clear communication, streamlined administrative processes, and effective resource allocation. By integrating technology and individualized education plan, or an IEP, you're going to see throughout this presentation, I'm going to make sure I explain all of the acronyms because we use a lot of them, not only in education, but especially in special education. So I'll make sure I break those down. Your presence here tonight just reflects a shared dedication to fostering an inclusive, supportive, and thriving educational community. We're grateful for your support and look forward to sharing our process and future plans with you. So I want to start by talking about a crucial aspect of our education system that ensures every student has the opportunity to succeed: special education and student services. So let's break that down a little bit. What is special education? Special education provides customized educational services tailored to meet the unique needs of students with disabilities. These students might face physical, mental, emotional, or learning challenges that require specific teaching methods and resources. The goal is to help them succeed just like any other student. In special education, we don't use a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, we focus on what each student needs to learn effectively. This might involve using different tools, technologies, or teaching strategies. Each student has a personalized plan called an individualized education plan, or IEP. This IEP outlines specific learning goals, the support they will receive, and how their progress will be measured. Next, let's talk a little bit about McKinney-Vento families. The McKinney-Vento Act ensures that children and youth who are experiencing homelessness have equal access to a free and appropriate public education. For these students, educational stability is key. Our schools work hard to provide a stable environment, even if the family has to move. This might include making sure that students can stay in our school and providing transportation as needed. Additionally, we offer support services such as access to school supplies and connections to community resources for housing and other needs. Also in our school district, we support English language learners, or ELL students. These students whose primary language is not English and who might need extra help to become proficient in English while also keeping up with their other classes. In our district, our ELL population is pretty small, which allows us to really offer a highly individualized support for these individuals. Language acquisition programs are in place to help these students develop their English skills, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Our teachers use culturally responsive teaching methods that respect and incorporate the students' cultural backgrounds, making their learning experiences more relevant and effective. Now, why is all of this important? Ensuring that our students, regardless of their circumstances or challenges, receive a quality education is essential for our future success. In line with the Supreme Court's ruling in the Andrew F. case, our mission is to ensure that every student can make progress in light of their circumstances. This guiding principle is at the heart of our efforts, driving us to provide the highest quality and education and support for all students. I had to kind of throw that in there because if you want to learn a little something about me, I love special education law. It's definitely near and dear to my heart, and I love reading about it and sharing about it anytime I can. So by providing tailored support through special education, McKinney-Vento services, and ELL programs, we help every student reach their full potential. So these are just a quick overview of our goals, and I know, so this is kind of how the presentation is kind of focused, is looking at our goals and how special education kind of fits into those goals and the things that we're doing to support the goals as well. So for our first goal, safe, valued, and sense of belonging, let me start with our co-teaching efforts. In our inclusive classrooms, we pair a general education teacher with a special education teacher. This dynamic duo works together to deliver instruction to a diverse group of students within the same classroom. The benefits of this model are profound. With 2 teachers in the room, we can provide more individualized attention and support to our students. This is especially crucial for students with special needs who often require additional guidance to thrive academically. Moreover, the presence of these 2 educators allow for the use of varied teaching styles to cater to different learning styles. For instance, while one teacher leads the main lesson, the other can offer small group support or one-on-one assistance, ensuring that no student is left behind. Moving on to differentiated instruction, this approach involves tailored teaching methods and materials to meet diverse needs of all students. In practice, this means that our teachers might use a range of activities and assignments to address different learning preferences and abilities within their classrooms. By differentiating instruction, we can engage students more effectively and help them achieve their individual learning goals. This approach is particularly beneficial in inclusive classrooms where the range of abilities can be quite broad. By providing multiple pathways and learning, we ensure that every student has the opportunity to succeed. So now let's talk about restorative practices. These are strategies that we use to build a strong, positive community and address conflicts in a constructive manner. Instead of punitive measures, restoring and repairing harm, we restore those relationships. This approach really helps create a safe and supportive environment where all students feel valued and understood. For example, when conflicts arise, we use restorative circles to give students a chance to express their feelings and work collaboratively towards a resolution. This not only helps resolve immediate issues, but also teaches important social skills such as empathy, communication, and problem solving for all students. Finally, social emotional support is a cornerstone of our inclusive practices. We recognize that students' emotional well-being is just as important as their academic success. To this end, we have implemented various programs to help students develop the social and emotional skills that they need to thrive. This includes regular check-ins with school counselors, social emotional learning curriculums into advisory lessons, and opportunities for students to participate in activities that promote self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. By addressing the social and emotional needs of our students, we create a nurturing environment where they feel safe, supported, and ready to learn. You can go to the next one. Yep. So goal 2, innovative instruction. Our focus will be on 504 plans, technology integration, and the individualized education plan. These initiatives ensure that student-centered learning and effective support for all of our students. Additionally, I'll outline our future plans, including the introduction of our in-house BCBA, or Board Certified Behavior Analyst, to support students with behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, and the use of digital data collection by our new Registered Behavior Technicians, or RBTs. Let's start with 504 plans. In North Stonington, we believe that education should be accessible and equitable for every student. A 504 plan provides accommodations and modifications to support students with disabilities. It really ensures that they have the same access to their peers as their peers. These plans are crucial in leveling the playing field and addressing specific needs that might hinder a student's learning experience. By focusing on 504 plans, we ensure that each student receives the necessary accommodations to succeed academically. This might include extended time on tests, preferential seating, or modified assignments. Our commitment to these plans highlight our dedication in fostering an inclusive and supportive environment. So let's talk a little bit about technology integration. Technology is a powerful tool that we can use to transform learning experiences for students with special needs. In our classrooms, we use a variety of technology tools and resources to support learning. Assistive technologies, educational software, and interactive platforms help make the curriculum more accessible and engaging. Some examples of assistive technology we use are text-to-speech, which a lot of the students use. This helps students with reading difficulties by reading the text out loud to them. And I just always like to remember that when I started teaching, we used Kurzweil, and it was like a robot voice. And we've come a long way with text-to-speech, and it sounds so much better now with all the different voices you can choose, and it's fantastic. We also use speech to text. This assists students who have trouble writing by converting spoken words into text. We use interactive whiteboards. So we have students here who use communication devices. So those are for students who are nonverbal, and it really helps them express and use language in that way. By integrating these technologies, we can provide differentiated instruction that meets the diverse needs of our students. So individualized education plans, or IEPs, play a crucial role in our special education services. These plans are set personalized goals and track progress for each student with special needs. In North Stonington, our IEP is aligned with the broader North Stonington Public School goals, ensuring that all students receive high-quality, inclusive education. Developing effective IEPs involves a comprehensive and collaborative process. So here's a little bit into how we kind of approach our IEPs. So first we start with assessment and identification. So we really look at those assessment pieces for each student. We set goals, and these are always going to be our SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. These goals are tailored to address both academic and functional needs of students. Each IEP outlines the specific services, supports, and accommodations a student will receive. This could include specialized instruction, speech therapy, occupational therapy, or counseling services. We continuously monitor a student's progress towards their IEP goals. Regular reviews are conducted to adjust the plan as needed, ensuring it remains aligned to the student's evolving needs. We emphasize the importance of involving families and students in the IEP process. Their insights and participation are invaluable in creating effective and meaningful educational plans. I always say at meetings, you are your child's expert, so you're the biggest member of your IEP team. So looking ahead, we have a couple exciting initiatives planned to further enhance our special education services. So our board certified behavior analysis are specialists in that area. Having them here in-house will allow for a more immediate, consistent, and tailored support for students with behavior intervention plans. This will help in addressing behavioral challenges effectively and fostering a positive learning environment. Our RBTs, or registered behavior technicians, will take daily data, ensuring accurate and timely tracking of student progress. Digital data collection enhances the efficiency, accuracy, and accessibility of student information, facilitating better informed decision-making. This move towards digitalization will streamline our processes and allow for more dynamic and responsive educational adjustments. So really integrating the North Stonington goals in special education involves leveraging 504 plans, technology and individualized education programs, and to really create that inclusive student-centered learning environment. So I just wanted to take a minute and just kind of explain this graphic. Sorry, it's a little small, so it's a little, what I really love about this graphic is the big circle, the big green circle, that's all of our kids, right? Everybody. And then the next little ball there is, circle there is all students with disabilities, ages 3 to 22. And then the white circle there is any student who has a 504 plan. And then in the center, those are the students with the IEPs, and that's usually our smallest population of students. What I really love about this graphic is like the big circle means everybody's in that. Students who have disabilities are all general education students first. Sometimes people will come to me and be like, oh, April, I'm just not sure what to do. And I say, well, what would you do for anybody else first? Like, let's start there. And usually they're like, oh yeah, that really works. And then I just put over on the side there, it says 14 categories. I just wanted to clarify. I really like this graphic and I wanted to use it. In Connecticut here, we recognize 13. We don't put developmental delay, who is for our younger kiddos from ages 3 to 6. So just so you know that there's a little difference here. Okay. All right, and our last goal here, transparent and efficient processes. So by focusing on clear communication channels, streamlined administrative processes, and effective resource allocation, and these efforts combined with integration of CT-SEDS. CT-SEDS is our new platform for special education. So all of the plans are on this new platform. This is our second year with this new platform. this data system. This will really contribute to transparent and effective operations, enhancing collaboration and accountability within our IEP teams. Additionally, I will highlight the crucial role of paraprofessionals in special education programming. So effective communication is the backbone of any successful education program and is especially crucial in special education. In North Stonington, we prioritize clear and consistent communication between parents, case managers, related service staff, and paraprofessionals. Open lines of communication ensure that everyone involved in the student's education is informed and engaged. Parents play a crucial role in the special education process. They are the expert on their child. We encourage regular meetings and updates to discuss student progress, address concerns, and adjust plans as needed. Case managers serve as the central point of contact, coordinating between parents, teachers, service providers, and paraprofessionals to ensure that everyone is on the same page. This collaborative approach helps us to address issues promptly and tailor our strategies to meet students' unique needs. Administrative efficiency is essential in providing timely and effective support to our students. We have implemented several measures to streamline our administrative processes, making it easier for our staff to focus on what matters most, teaching and supporting our students. One significant enhancement is the Connecticut Special Education Data System, or CTSEDS. And this really provides a comprehensive platform for managing special education records and processes. So it really centralizes all our student data, making it easily accessible to any authorized personnel. And this really ensures that everybody is up to date on the most up-to-date information for students. What's really great about CTSEDS is this year we were able to now sync it with PowerSchool. So what's really great is now they talk to each other. They weren't talking to each other for a little bit. So now that they talk to each other, staff who are able to access, so general education teachers and other staff who are able to access PowerSchool are able to see students' IEPs on PowerSchool. So then that kind of also cuts down on all of paper copies, confidentiality, pieces like that. So that's been a really great move. Allocating resources properly is essential for providing excellent special education. When we're talking about money, staff, or materials, we really want to use it effectively to support students. That's always what I say. It's all about the students, always about them. We allocate funds strategically to address specific needs of our special education programs, like the alternative education program. This includes investing in special training for staff, purchasing assistive technologies, and ensuring that our faculties are accessible to all students. Continuous professional development is critical for our educators and support staff, and we provide ongoing training and opportunities to keep our teams up to date with the latest and best practice and innovations in special education. It's been great this year. We've done a couple trainings for paraprofessionals, and they seem really excited about it. And I'm excited about some of the new initiatives that are going to come from the state for paraprofessional training that we're going to have an opportunity to be a part of. So those are going to be really great. So last but certainly not least, when I gave presentations before, I would always harp on the fact that paraprofessionals are the backbone of everything that we do. They're so important. They work the closest with the students, offering that individualized assistance and support throughout the entire school day. Their direct interactions with students help ensure that each child's unique needs are met. They play a key role in implementing strategies and accommodations outlined in IEPs. They assist in adapting instructional materials, provide behavioral support, and facilitating communication between student and teachers. The insights and observations of paraprofessionals are invaluable to an IEP team. They provide firsthand information about student progress, challenges, and successes, which is critical for making informed decisions about instructional strategies and interventions. Transparency is a key principle in our approach to special education. As IEP teams, we are committed to being open and honest about our processes and communications. This transparency builds trust with parents and ensures they're fully informed and partners in their child's education. We ensure that all aspects of the IEP process are thoroughly documented and shared with parents. This includes assessment results, goal setting, progress reports, and any changes to the plan. We hold regular meetings with parents, educators, service providers, and paraprofessionals to review progress and make necessary adjustments. These meetings provide opportunities for open dialogue and collaborative decision-making. right. And go ahead. You can go one more. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your continued support. I think we're moving in a great direction. Been a busy first year and it's been great. I did do a little QR code here. I just had one question for everybody who's here. If they want to just kind of asking, if there's any else thing we're looking for to enhance special services. And then I obviously can take any questions, but another question on there is you could ask me a question too, if you wanted to. So.
Thank you so much, April. It's been a wonderful addition to our district. And the stuff that you're doing is really amazing. Through the budget season, I spent a lot of time talking about the fiscal stuff that has happened on your end and the way that you're really saving the district tons and tons of money through your initiatives. But
Yeah.
it's so nice to hear you talk about the real impact of the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And we can do great things here. I think all the kids are doing really well. So it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Board questions, comments for April?
Yeah, one quick question. If there's anything that you wish we could be doing but can't, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. That's a big question. I feel like I have to think about that. That more Paris. I don't know. I have to think about it. And that's why I kind of did the QR code. I'm very much a processor, so I feel like I just need to take people's questions and think about them a little bit. So I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not sure. Okay.
Other people?
I love the direction that you're driving, the special education program that you're steering.
Okay.
It's great work. I love that more kids can be a part of the community here, their own school community, rather than being outplaced or whatever. I love that they can stay here, and so much more is being done than I even realized. That was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, April? Thank you so much for coming. I think that brings us up to your report.
Before that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Lisa had something she wanted.
I'm so sorry. While we were, congratulating students and singing the praises of some students, 4 students came to mind that helped at the polls the other day. As you know, the referendum was on Monday, and 4 sophomores came to help us. They each worked a 6-hour shift, 2 of them from 8 to 2, and the other 2 from 2 to 8, or actually closer to 8:30. One of them's here, Anna Zeman. Welcome back. They were all introduced to being a tabulator tender, a ballot clerk, a check-in clerk, and a greeter. And over the course of 12 hours, we had 307 votes. It was not an exciting day at all. But these kids really were eager to learn. They were interested and understood that, that somebody has to do it. It's a civic responsibility. And I think that they all want to come back and do it again. But thank you, Anna, and thank you, Gavin Wiggins and Ava Van Gira and Addie Richter. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay, Troy.
Okay, I have several items in my report, but I would like to move the Eagle Trail project first. So Sophie Sakiki, could you come on up and talk to us about what you're hoping to do for us?
Hi, Sophie. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sophie Zakicki, and this is my Eagle project. I'm a sophomore at Wheeler High School. I'm from Troop 76 out of Mystic, Connecticut, and I'm the senior patrol leader of the girls troop, which is basically I plan meetings and I help figure out where we're gonna camp for a weekend or something like that. About the project, I was planning to improve the Wheelers cross-country course. We'd be doing things such as clearing trash or sticks, putting down mulch or wood chips, and then we'd put up signs along the trail, and then I'd map the trail using GIS software. About the project, I'm working with Mr. Tardif, and I would like to complete the work on the cross-country course by mid-August, hopefully before the cross-country season starts so that it'll be set for us to run on it and practice. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this so during the cross-country season, runners won't be confused about where to go. Most of the time when we're running, we'd get a lot of questions or people like shouting out questions of where to go or where to turn. It will also help make the trail easier to run by filling in like the holes and clearing the branches. This will help everyday people who walk parts of the trail and help people when we have races on the course or people who do sports and use the course to run on. It will provide a more detailed map for runners and course spotters. And I wanted people to enjoy running. That's a picture of the map. It has the parcels about who owns what land. The state of Connecticut owns the part up by the wreck, and then the town of North Stonington owns the rest of the trail. What's next? I need to obtain permits, and then I need to meet with Mr. Tardif to talk about funding and donations for mulch or wood chips, signage or tools. And then I need to obtain the materials. I need to plan dates to start working on the project and then start the project. What do I need? I need helpers. I'll be overseeing the work sessions over summer, hopefully. And I'll have scout troop volunteers, but I can include members of the town and their families as well, if they would like to help. I could get wood chips supplied by the town by asking for donations. I'll probably need some tools like shovels, rakes, etc. And maybe like a gator to move wood chips to sections of along the trail. And I will probably need some funding. And then signs will be created from wood. Does anyone have any questions?
Troy, do you want to talk about your meeting with Sophie?
Yeah, so Sophie and I met last week, and it was a nice meeting that we had because we bonded over track a little bit. As you know, I'm a little passionate about that sport, and Sophie's a really good runner, and she's, trying to help the track team and the cross-country team. So it was a really exciting meeting for me, and Sophie had a lot of energy and a lot of initiative, and so I was quite impressed with her idea and her vision in getting this project done. So I think it's great. You did a nice job, Sophie, speaking to the board and the audience about this project, and I think you're going to be able to proceed. I'm going to send you an email that will serve as your permit to do the work.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Sophie?
Oh, there we
There you
go.
go.
Okay. So first off, thank you, because I know as a parent of a child who is looking to run the Ed Foundation 5K coming up on Saturday, we were looking for places to run, and I didn't really know where exactly that cross country. I'd seen cross country runners running portions of it. I didn't know exactly the length and how it worked, and if we wanted to try and do it. So I think this is going to be an awesome addition. I think the idea of having it mapped out, of having those different pieces is going to be great. Reading through the paperwork, I just wanted to mention that I know that Doug had told me when we had done a previous one that the beneficiary has to actually be the Board of Education, because Mark Tardif is stated as it, and I think that the problem with that becomes money. So just as a heads up, I think you just need to switch those in order to be the Board of Ed, because if there's any money that you raise at the end of the project, that money reverts back to the beneficiary. And so that was a thing that we had in the past when we had done the shelters for the soccer field. So, but thank you. I'm really excited about this, though.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments for Sophie?
There we go. I think it's a great project, and I very much appreciate you wanting to do this. If there's anything that I can personally do to help, you can send me an email. I'd like to help.
Okay, thank you.
Sophie, thank you for coming in tonight. I think you ran a race already once today. Is that right?
It got canceled for us, so I did not run a race.
Well, good luck running in the future.
Thank
Thank you for being willing to do this, and congratulations on making it to this phase of your scouting. I understand that it's not really easy and it takes a huge commitment to be at the level where you are right now, completing this project. So thank you, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We're excited about it.
Okay, so continuing with my report, I just gave you some staffing updates, listing the names of people that I don't think we listed before. We may have mentioned that we hired a position, but the Wheeler PE teacher is Bailey Brackett, who will be starting in the beginning of school year. There's a one-year third grade teacher at the elementary school, Brenna Sullivan. At Wheeler, a .6 social studies teacher, Elizabeth Short. The alternative education teacher that we hired to replace Bern Macca, who's going to be the AD, is Kevin Noonan. You may recognize his name as one of our coaches. The Cub Club director is Deb Dwyer. That's the before and after school care program. And we had 2 paraprofessionals start very recently, one at the elementary school, Shay Carrion, and one at Wheeler, Raquel Tucker. And regarding the Cub Club, just wanted to give you a quick update. The signups are rolling in. We did have, we gave people till like May 1st to initially register or pay the $25 fee, and then we gave those people kind of priority to sign up for sessions, which then we did. We then just put the message out to everybody again that it's now open once again, and the sessions are filling up. I mean, I have a whole calendar with how many kids are signed up for AM and PM and every day through September, and it's looking quite promising at the moment. The wiring for new cameras has been completed over the weekend. Greg Pont oversaw that. Regarding innovative instruction, we had our principal St. Germain and our director of teaching and learning, Kim Haggerty, attended a NEASC showcase to share some ideas and get some ideas, and that was really well worth it. And I'd like to now have Kristen St. Germain, principal St. Germain, come up and talk about a really exciting dual enrollment program.
So I'm very excited to announce that next year, for the first time, we will have 2 students who will be enrolled in a dual enrollment program at Rhode Island Institute of Technology. This is a very cool opportunity for these kids. We had a pretty difficult process that they had to go through to prove that they were ready. But through Wheeler's connection with the Westerly Education Center, we met a woman who actually ran the programming for the last 6 or 7 years, Amy Grzybowski, who moved to New England Institute of Tech as the person in charge of their dual enrollment program. She called us up last summer and said, do we have any students that might be willing to attend their senior year full-time and earn college credit for that year? So we went through the process. We had a team of people, kids applied. We had 3 students who actually applied for the first round. And fortunately, through some grant funding, we were able to cover 2 spots. 2 students that the committee really felt strongly we knew it had to be the right student. These students will be a part of the Wheeler class of 2025, but the difference will be they will not come to school at Wheeler. They will instead, every single day, go to New England Tech and attend classes. They will finish their graduation requirements. Very few. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 most kids had to fulfill their diploma requirements. For us, the luxury of this is they get to do that on campus. By the end of the first year, they will be halfway through their associate's degree. These two particular students who got in, one of them is going to the mechanics program. He would like to be a full-time mechanic. And the other young lady is actually looking into the nursing program. So this is a great opportunity. We're hoping to expand this. There's a little bit of a budget involved, so obviously we had to really go through this process, see how it goes the first year. But I'm just excited for these opportunities because I think we have a lot of kids that know what they want to do. Some of them have financial hurdles, but I think this is just a great opportunity for them to get that first part of their associate's degree. So we will keep you posted on how it goes. We're just really excited about this collaboration and hopefully it will continue. Questions?
Really exciting.
It's very cool. I will tell you, they can come to prom, they can play sports. It just has to work for their course schedule. Both students expressed they're probably not going to play sports, but they'll definitely participate in all our activities and our graduation. So they will still be a part of the class. It will just be a new opportunity we're providing our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Where is that going to be located? At the westerly, where's the, where they?
They're
War-
actually,
so
they're
they're
gonna
gonna go to
go
Warwick.
every single day. They're gonna go to Warwick, take their classes. And then I think one of them will go to the other campus for the mechanics for part of that time. Obviously both had to have transportation. That was a big piece of this. We had to talk to families to make sure this was doable for both students, but we're really excited. And they both, one of them actually, she just took her nurse's placement exam. So we're moving in a really good direction. And I think this could be a great program for us.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. And by the way, Kristen mentioned it's a grant, so our Title IV grant, which is for innovative opportunities. And that's how we're able to support this program. For efficient and transparent processes in my report, email update, the Board of Ed now all has Google Gmail accounts as backup. I know we discussed that last time. It was a good idea to have a backup email, so we have that. But the K-12 accounts are working. And they are working in the district. However, we are on the blacklist still for a few emails. It takes a while to get off. And our IT department is on that. AOL and Yahoo are two of them that we seem to be blacklisted still. But we hope that we'll get off of those soon. But the staff has been really flexible in figuring out workarounds and all that. And so we seem to be heading in the right direction. I'll talk more about IT in a little bit. Just going order in my report, though, I want to mention this bank account reconciliation project that's currently happening. There appears to, there's a bank account that we request transfers of money into to then cover the checks that we write or the payroll that we have to pay. And that account, it appears as though there may be a shortfall in funds, which we don't know when that happened. It could have existed for many years. It could be more recently within the last few years. We don't know yet, but we're working with the town to rectify that. We hope to have the answer to if there is a discrepancy, what is that exact amount? Because if there is, we should probably fix it so we don't get a check that bounces, because that would be a bad thing. So we really don't know the amount, okay, for sure, but we hope that we'll be able to fix it soon. We're hoping it'll be resolved by the first week of June, and then I can give you an update on that. Speaking of Learn, who's also involved in that, they're coming Monday. They'll be checking with our business manager about his involvement in that reconciliation process. They'll also be watching our payroll happen to be ready to be backup for payroll for us. And so they'll be coming Tuesday to do that. They're also going to be working. They already came in a couple of weeks ago, and they listed a whole bunch of things that they could help us on. There's already 3 scheduled dates for them to train to do business manager that we have in June. So that's really exciting. I actually talked to her today and told her the date. She's really excited about that. And there'll be other times that we have her come in June as well. We had a really exciting meeting just yesterday, actually. with a kind of joint IT department, town, school. We're kind of beginning to think about, can we really increase our collaboration in the IT area? So the first selectman, Bob Carlson, and I had the meeting with the 3 IT people, 1 from the town and 2 from the school. It was a really productive meeting. A lot of good ideas were generated. And I'm really excited about what this technology team is going to do together in the future. I think there's a lot. There's a lot on the list. And we're going to continue to schedule regular meetings with them. On May 29th, regarding IT, in this room, there'll be a Infinite Visions workshop attended by about 30 people from area school districts that we are hosting. Alicia Clemens, our bookkeeper, organized this. It's really exciting that we are being the host for IV training for a software, financial software that a lot of school districts uses. And actually, some people from Learn are attending that. And the last thing in my report is I wanted to mention the possibility, or well, not the possibility, but we got to start thinking of having a Board of Ed retreat and maybe think about a state of the district presentation. And I think later, when we talk about calendar, we'll maybe we'll talk about some potential dates. But I think the retreat is a great time for, you know, the board to review its goals, its meeting structures, kind of assess how things are going. And one thing that I might bring up to you soon, and I may assign it, I don't know, I might just give you the YouTube video. But this author, Jonathan Haidt, met with him on Monday on Zoom with some other superintendents. Really interesting. Really, it's like what you probably knew but couldn't articulate, and this guy articulates it so well. Is like how this distracts you and gets in the way from like fully functioning as a person that you want to function as in the world. Basically, that's the summary. But I think there's going to be, I think, big movement in schools. We're actually doing quite advanced things regarding technology in the schools and having kids develop, you know, self-control and being less distracted in their learning. But there are other things and other concepts you can do. And I would love to talk about it because I read the book. It was light bulb moments went off for me personally, even. So I've turned off a lot of notifications. I no longer have Channel 8 telling me in 15 minutes it's going to start sprinkling. I don't really need to be distracted by that. And after reading the book, I realized I didn't need that notification. So that's off, for example. So yeah, that's it. Any questions on my report?
Yeah, could we on the club get a, as far as our financials, just kind of a cost summary kind of check out?
I think we're about $1,800 in the new Cub Club account. And
what I'm thinking is if we can do that monthly with the financial reports.
Oh,
get some
yeah.
Sort of readout of where we are.
yeah, no problem.
Sure,
That's a
okay.
good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, I guess, and also enrollment, like, are they full-time fillings or is it 24 people going once a week, twice a week, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, you know, or are we really engaging in full-time enrollment on that, or just curious how
I
that's
could
all
give you an
working?
update. I actually have a calendar that I shared with the director just
Mhm.
today, actually, saying how many kids are AM and PM on every day in September.
Okay,
So right now we don't have enough kids to hire a second staff member right now, but we have enough to run it with the director. But I think very soon, I think it's gonna fill up. And I think we're gonna have to hire that second staff member.
great, thank you. I have a couple questions on the accounting. Did this come out in the audit? Because I thought our audit was clean. So is this just coming
No.
up now, or is this something that came out of the audit?
I believe it just came out recently.
Okay, and then, so is the account overdrawn by an amount around $10,000? Or when we were concerned about bouncing checks, do we know what checks those are? Or are we, I guess my concern is, are we able, if we think it's old, like just where my brain is going, are we able to balance out that budget with that 10,000 negativity? Or do we actually have to take money out of our budget to I mean, do we have to? I know
I think-
I know it looks cleaner, but do we have to?
I
or-
think it's to be determined, really,
Okay.
because I think it's just it's a hunch, I think at this point, that it may be in the red. But I think until we go through the process and looking at checks that didn't clear or avoided checks that maybe we didn't unexpense in the
So we're not
account.
getting NSFs from the bank at this point on that account? So
No,
we are not overdrawn in that account?
no, no, no,
Okay,
no. And I think our treasurer is monitoring that closely.
okay.
And I know he's actually signing checks physically, and so am I as
Okay.
well.
'Cause I guess
to
I would
try
just like to
watch
see if
that.
there's a way to zero that out without putting money in.
Yeah, I think
hopefully-
we'll know, I think we'll know soon whether we have to put money in, and I would suggest if we had to put money in, we use some, funds that might be left at the end of the year, to kind of balance it if we had to. But I think time will tell.
I'm going to touch on it a little bit more in my report, but my understanding, and then I think when everything's clear, I think we'll be able to have a conversation about exactly what happened and the exact numbers. My understanding is that this was something that was discovered during a transaction, and since that time, the town hall, specifically Susan, Laura, and Sean, our treasurer, have been working really closely to try and identify what's happening. And I know that Sean's looking at that account every single day to make sure nothing is going to bounce. And so all eyes are on that. And my understanding as well is that there are still checks that need to be gone through in the reconciliation process to determine how much that amount is. Is there a shortfall? Is there really a cash shortfall in there? And if there is, how much is that? And then I hope, and I think that's the hope of everyone working on this, that through the reconciliation process, it tells the story of how we got there, because I think that's going to be important in our wrap up as well. How did we get there, and how do we ensure, of course, that that doesn't happen again in the future?
Did this happen in a prior fiscal year, or is it just this year?
I'm not
Can you
sure that
explain
anyone
that?
knows
You
yet.
don't know yet? It's interesting.
Any other questions for Troy?
I have a quick question. You said it's a theory that this money is short. Where'd the theory come from?
I believe it was, actually, I don't know. I'd be speculating. I just know that Bill had been working with the town on the monthly reconciliation. And then when they were doing that, I think somehow someone said, hey, look, we might have a shortfall here. And then the other party said, yeah, I think you might be right. And now, okay, let's try to figure this out. And I know they were looking back at checks from 2021. Okay, which is before Bill and I started, but so we really don't know if it was back that far or further or more recent. But I think once they could do the work, hopefully we'll figure it out.
Can I ask a really simple question? Wouldn't there just be gaps in the check sequence? I mean, to me, when you look at a checkbook, they're numbered, right? So wouldn't there be missing checks? And then we'd say, oh, there it is. That one's missing, or that
Well, I
one's
don't think we're
missing.
looking at, I don't think any checks are missing, or we're looking at gaps in the numbering. I think it's more like some checks may have been written and not cashed. And then we maybe didn't unexpense that when they weren't cashed. So we kind of assumed that money was gone from the account, but yet it wasn't. That's just one possibility. There are other possibilities, but
All right, because to me, that seems simple, is it not? It's not simple.
Christina, my limited understanding, I think one of the complications of this process is that the account has not been reconciled in a number of years. And so there isn't necessarily that sequence. There's no reconciliation. And so they're doing that now, but it's taking a while to go through. Other questions for Troy?
I guess, and I don't want to belabor this until we have all of the information, but I guess I'm still a little confused because it seems like if we didn't expense things and checks didn't get cashed, that we shouldn't have a shortfall, we should have an excess. Right?
It's a really confusing concept, and Susan explained it to me many times. I had to draw columns because she just discusses the difference between cash and expenses. And so when you expense something, you plan to have money move. And then, you know, it's actually the cash that really moves. So there's, I can't probably articulate it very clearly right now, but there's a difference between the actual money in the account and the planning of moving money in and out of the account.
Okay, I'm fine waiting until we actually have a clear picture to be able to discuss it for real. I was just confused with the overall even concept, so.
It certainly seems complicated and confusing.
Because that concludes my report, and I'd like my administrators to hear everything I have to say. I would like to allow them to leave. Oh, yeah, the kids report, of course.
Well, then I'm
Oh,
gonna do
yeah.
my report so fast.
You should listen to the kids as well.
So the budget passed. That was really great. Probably the most exciting thing that's happened in the last 2 weeks. I sent you all an email on Friday outlining some things, but there's a few more things I want to add. So I've been speaking with Troy about putting together something that we've talked about for a while, which is forming a district-wide communication plan. That would sort of solidify this commitment that I think we all really feel about how we communicate with the community and when we do it, especially outside of budget season. And I think it'll give us a bit of direction that feels like it just feels really heavy and complicated, and without direction when we're trying to do it. I did go to a webinar, I think 2 years ago when they talked about this communication plan, and the people running the webinar really emphasized the importance of communicating with your community, not just your school community, but your residents outside of budget season. They have to understand what's happening in our district. They have to buy into it, all that sort of stuff. So in having those conversations, Troy and I were talking about reviving the state of the district that we used to do, and doing it outside of budget season to really start setting us in motion. And so I think, Troy, you talked about it in your report, maybe October or November. I attended a FOIA presentation at a recent EDC meeting. The man who used to give the presentation to us retired, so we hadn't had one in a while, and they have a new person doing it. So I came and listened. I thought it was great. I actually had some questions about things that we were doing in our processes, and he was wonderful, answered all the questions. And maybe something that we want to look into in the future, having someone come and give that to us. Along the lines of the reconciliation stuff that Troy was talking about, I did have a follow-up call with Bob, Laura, and Susan regarding the reconciliation, the shortfall issues. I did that on Monday. Bob had suggested having a follow-up meeting after Memorial Day to get everybody back together and sort of assess where we are, where we need to go, and what the timeline looks like. Obviously, everybody's really committed to the idea that we need to get this done prior to the close of the fiscal year, especially as we have someone new starting. We want them to come in with everything in order. I think it would be not okay for me to leave out that there does seem to be a difference in some of the thoughts about this. So from the central office side and the town hall side, as I'm talking to both, there seems to be different philosophies and schools of thought about it, but there are some common ground, and I think it's really important to point out what the common ground issues really are. One of them is the commitment to getting this done. So however we got here at this point, everybody's working really hard together. Obviously Troy and Bill and at central office, but I also want to point out that Laura, Susan, and Bob are working incredibly hard, as well as Sean, our treasurer, and they're really committed to figuring this out and making it right. I think the other thing that keeps being brought up is everyone assuring everyone that's talking about this that nobody thinks that this is anything that has to do with malintent. Everybody believes that this truly was procedural. And so once we identify it, we're going to fix it, we're going to learn from it, and we're going to be able to move forward. And then the last thing I have is graduation, obviously coming up on the 14th. Kristen wanted me just to check in with everyone. Where do we want to sit? Last year was the first year that we sat up on the hill. Prior to that, the board would sit on the perimeter.
It shouldn't be up to us, I don't think.
Kristen just asked where we wanted to be, given that we chose differently last year. What do you guys think?
I think it's nice.
Gotcha, okay.
I think it kind of takes away from the school to put 8 board members up on front. I think the chair should be up there.
Sure.
There's the first selectman is up there, but then it should be about the administrators, our superintendent, our teachers, highlighting the school, because we're behind the scenes. It's not about us.
It's not about us, but I feel like we're about the school. I don't think we're just,
Really like highlighting the school, I guess.
I personally, I personally don't think that we take away from the school. I don't know, maybe you guys would have a different take on it.
I'm happy to sit wherever, but it is customary for board members at graduations, and I go to quite a few of them, to sit up top. But I will be happy to sit wherever.
We just want to make sure there's chairs in the right place.
Yeah, this is really a logistical conversation. Kristen just wants to make sure there's enough chairs. Alex, do you have a feeling?
I like what we did last year, and, for that sake, to go sit in the general lawn with the gown and all that doesn't make any sense. It's hot.
I think it's the perimeter, so not on the lawn with everyone else, but sort of with the faculty would be the other option.
But anyway, I agree with Jamie. I think for the number of graduations I went to, usually the board always sat on
Okay.
top. But I don't care where I sit. Even parking lot's fine. It doesn't make a difference.
Judy, do you have a preference? I know you haven't done this before. Brian, preference? Okay. Christine, I know the view is not quite as good from the hill, and you do have a graduate. Okay, perfect. All right, good. So I think that's the decision. So anyone who hasn't responded to Kara, I think we have to do that really fast and make sure you have a gown, and that Kara knows where to put us. All right. Thank you. Questions about my report? All right, well then, we have new student ambassadors.
Yes.
That are going to give their first report, but before they give their first report, does anybody want to say anything to our outgoing student ambassadors?
I just want to thank you for participating and being an active member. I know it's a lot to kind of sit through these meetings, and they're really boring sometimes, and you always provided excellent feedback, and kind of how Stephanie was mentioning before, your willingness to really just engage with us and answer our questions, and sometimes even enlighten us is really helpful. And we appreciate all you guys did this year.
I'll just add, just continue to be civic minded, join other boards in whatever towns you end up in, and make a difference. But you guys did a great job, and I think it was a great opportunity for you and for us to learn. So thank you.
I think it's just incredibly impressive the way that you were able to handle yourselves in these board meetings, the way that you were able to speak clearly, articulately, answer when you were asked direct questions that on the spot, which I think is difficult sometimes for us as adults to do. You see us stumbling over the words that we're trying to put together, and the idea that you were able to give opinions to add to the meeting, I think was wonderful. And I think that we couldn't have asked for a better pair to start off our first time with student ambassadors. So thank you so much for your time. You obviously are very busy with all of the things that you're doing. So the fact that you're able to make it in, congratulations, by the way. It looked like you guys ended up pulling off a 1-run victory, but honestly, it was great having you. It was wonderful to have your voice on the board, and I appreciate the way that you were able to handle yourselves like an incredibly mature adults.
I appreciate you both being on the board, and I agree with everything these guys already said. I probably can't say it any better than they did. But it's really special that you two were first. And now there's others before you, and you're true leaders, and I'm sure you guys will both go far. Thank you.
I'm just gonna mirror the rest of the board. Some of the conversations you guys had to participate in weren't exactly easy ones, but you guys handled everything excellently. You guys have just been a pleasure to be around.
I just hope you learned the difference between accept and approve.
Most important lesson in your time here.
And I truly impressed with themselves. You were insightful, you were articulate, many people have said, and you just showed that you are really quality individuals who have a lot ahead of you. So good luck.
And I just want to add, what you don't know is that every month they go and they meet with Mr. Salino and I, and they listen to us babble and brag about what's happening in our schools, and they take very copious notes. Sometimes I have to remind them to look up. But they've done a really nice job. I'm going to miss them. They're both going to do great things, include, like, look, we got 2 athletes here who played in a game today and showed up at this meeting. So I am grateful. I know Mr. Salino.
Yeah,
wants
I just want to say, I so appreciate you guys, like, all the student ambassadors, like, I've been familiar from other districts. I've never included the elementary school. So I'm so grateful that you guys took time to always come and sit down with me. And they never left me hanging for a meeting. I know they're busy, but anytime we had an appointment, they always kept it. And they were super respectful, but easy to work with. And I really appreciate you guys. I think you guys really represented the elementary school well. So thank you.
And you get to keep your name tag. You got to take your name tag off before you leave. And while we make this transition, I would like to introduce our new ambassadors. I do want to give Maddie a little shout out because Maddie actually was a part of the process to pick our new ambassadors. So thank you for your service, Maddie, for doing that. And on that note, I'm very excited to introduce our 2 newest Board of Ed ambassadors. We have soon to be senior Grace Casada. Come on up and take your seat. And soon to be junior Anna Zeman, come on up. And I'm hoping we can get them some name tags. I also want to give a little shout out because for the first time, we actually have an alternate in this position. We had a few candidates who interviewed. James did such an amazing job that the committee actually felt like it was really important to include him in this. So James is here tonight as our alternate, but you will see him. Obviously, we have some very busy kids. He will step in on occasion and do a report. And in fact, I believe he went to Mr. Salino today to just see how it's all done. So welcome, congratulations, and they are going to give their first report.
Thank you. Welcome, Grace and Anna, James, we're so happy to have you here. And John and Maddie, we will see you at graduation. We're so excited.
Okay, so I'm Grace. Anna, yeah. Okay, so we have a lot happening this week, coming up on the end of the school year. Lots of senior celebrations for our athletes. Congrats to all the spring sport athletes for representing Wheeler. Lots of division banners to celebrate this season. Girls lacrosse got the ECC division banner this year. I don't know if baseball did yet. Not yet. Not yet. Softball. Yes, softball got an ECC banner too. Golf and track and field. Girls, I got softball. I don't know about track and field yet, but a lot of banners to celebrate. You want to do debate?
So last month, the Wheeler debate team competed in the Civics First debate, which we have competed for in the past. Our topic was pretty difficult this year. We discussed zoning regulations in Connecticut and whether we should abolish them or maintain them for low-income housing. We had 2 debaters, Sophie Broderick and Nadia Watiba Shark. They both received
the first and second place for speakers in the debate competition and made it to the quarterfinalists. And then we have, so Monday we celebrated our CAS Scholar Leaders, which were Ella Post and Zoe Zakiki. Miss St. Germain, Miss Parker, and Mr. Bradanini celebrated with Ella, Joey, and their family at the AquaTurf on this outstanding accomplishment that they had. Earlier in the month, they also celebrated the two senior scholar athletes, John Anderson and Katie Pierce, at a similar event. John and Katie were joined by their parents, Miss Turner and Mrs. Reyes, to celebrate their outstanding accomplishments as student athletes, and congrats to all of them. We had 2 phenomenal chorus and band concerts this past week. So it is so nice to see the talent that we have displayed in our district, and it is definitely a must-see if you have not gone to see one yet. They are usually in the winter and the spring. Last month, we also saw the same talent from the students at our art program, where students from the band and chorus displayed their talent at our art show, which was available for all of the students to see. Last month, we also had Mr. Mandolia and the Wheeler Drama Production, who did a fantastic job with the Trust Nobody version of Clue. And as a member of the drama club, I definitely believe that Mr. Mandolia really stepped up into the role of director, which was definitely some big shoes to fill. Yesterday, Miss Wellborn's students in the chemistry class visited Patchogue State Park to participate in a water testing experience where they were able to kayak and enjoy the beauty of the park. Thanks to the grant from NESS from Miss Wellborn, was able to cover all costs of the experience for all the students. Today was Wellness Day at the high school and the elementary school. I was not at the high school for Wellness Day. I actually volunteered with the Give Back Club at the elementary school, but we would also just like to give a huge shout out to Miss Haggerty and Mr. Bailey for organizing the events for our school. They are definitely one of the favorite days at Wheeler, and a lot of people love participating in them and love how we get so many new options each year. Yeah, I know a lot of people enjoyed Wellness Day this year. There were a lot of outside activities, which was nice because it was super hot out today. And then when they were inside, it was nice and cool because they see. But I think a lot of people had fun today. Tomorrow, the 6th graders will visit the middle school to meet their teachers for the first time, have lunch with the current 7th graders to kind of acclimate to the environment. Tomorrow night, their parents will be welcomed at Wheeler by the administration and school counseling office to learn all about the transition to middle school, to try to ease them into it a little better. Our teachers were treated to a great Teacher Appreciation Week with lots of surprises and goodies from their admin team, PTO, Board of Ed, and central office. There was also a lot of students who bought in gift cards and other gifts to teachers. They would like to thank everyone who celebrated these amazing teachers and made them feel so seen and recognized. We still have some more important upcoming dates. So June 1st, we have prom at 6 at the Stonington Country Club. June 3rd is the underclassmen awards night from 6 to 6:45, and then upperclassmen from 7 to 8:30. June 6th is the district graduation walk for the class of 2024 at 1:45, which is just for the school, like just the district, not for the public. And then June 7th is Senior Project Day, which will be early release for grades 7 to 10, only at 11. And June 7th is also the senior staff picnic at 1:30, still only students. And then the same day is there a toast to Miss Turner for her retirement at Lake of Isles from 3:30 to 6:30. June 13th is the 8th grade promotion at 10:30 out front of Wheeler, and people need to bring a lawn chair for that. And then June 14th is the senior graduation at 6 at the Wheeler Library lawn, which is exciting. And now we would just like to talk about the elementary school. The Teacher Appreciation Week at the elementary school, they had their staff treated to a very special week for Teacher Appreciation Week. Thanks to our PTO, especially Tessa Watson, there was treats each day for the teachers to enjoy. The week started with a coffee service and included a luncheon from the central office, breakfast treats from the Board of Education, and other surprises from the PTO. Thank you to all for making our teachers feel the love, and a special shout out to the families who made gift card and candy donations so that both administrative teams could provide a special something for their teachers. Over the past 2 weeks, we were treated to the spring music concerts in the elementary school. They started off with kindergarten and first grade students performing songs on friendship, and finished the night with the second grade and third grade performing Hats, the musical. The following weeks, grades 4 and 5 performed their songs of Broadway, followed by the sixth grade chorus. That night also featured our fifth grade buck drum assemble and our fifth and sixth grade band. We are very thankful for Miss Ellis for her wonderful work with all of our singers and bucket drummers, and a big thank you to Mr. McCormick for teaching our band staff and helping bring music back to the elementary school. The sixth grade students will do their annual trip to Wheeler on May 23rd in order to see the school, meet some of their teachers for the next year, and get more information about middle school. There's also a family information session scheduled that same night. And then for the elementary school wellness day, there were great events for all the kids to enjoy. They had a touch truck, a ninja warrior course, a creation station, trail mix station, a course of animals, and plenty of watermelon. Thank you to the wellness committee for all the hard work in setting up all the events for today, and a special thanks to our local families that participated by volunteering, bringing in animals to share with the kids, and the North Stonington Fire Department for sharing their trucks with us. So I was at the elementary school wellness day, so I was just gonna add a little bit more about that. So the Give Back Club, like I mentioned, some of us went over to the elementary school along with a few other volunteers, and each kid was kind of stationed around. I started off the day at the Ninja Warrior Chorus, which was definitely a favorite among the students. And then I actually switched and I was focused with third grade, specifically Miss Kitty's class, where I helped them create stress balls of flour and balloons. And overall, there was a lot of fun and excitement throughout Wellness Day, and I heard nothing but good remarks. Finally, our Smarter Balance assessments are winding down. Students in grades 3 through 6 were tested in ELA and math. Our fifth graders got a special treat and got to test in science as well. We have a few more makeup tests, but there is hope to get done before the end of the week. And we'll be looking forward to finding out the results. We appreciate all our students' efforts with the testing and the resilience to keep trying, as well as the parents, who also are definitely a big help in making sure that these kids are test ready, getting good sleep, and good meals. And then the town meeting on Monday was the final meeting held of the year. The theme was resiliency. They had a lot of participation from students in this meeting. We had some third grade students who wrote and acted skits on resiliency, while others shared acoustic poems. Our fourth grade students shared the idea on how to be resilient and led the school in a fun song. We also had our first grade share a poster they made, and our kindergarten students perform a poem about not giving up. And then the upcoming dates for the elementary school. So the 31st is Spirit Day, and Olympics. And then June 10th is Field Day, which everyone loves. June 11th is the rain date if Field Day gets rained out. And then June 12th would be the sixth grade promotion at 9:30 in the elementary school gym. And that's all we got. Does anybody have any questions?
Good job.
Thank you, ladies. That was a wonderful first report. So we have moved the non-lapsing discussion from 8C to 5D. So Bob and Susan, if you want to come a little closer, I don't know if you want to hold the mics and sit, or if you want to stand at the podium, whatever you all like. So everyone will remember that we have had a couple of conversations about some changes that Town Hall is asking us to make, just in the way that we handle expenses out of our non-lapsing account. and I did a horrible job explaining what they wanted. So today, Susan Pike from the town hall is here to talk to us a little bit about what it is that they'd like to see from us. Oh, you just have to turn that on. There you
Am
go.
I on? Okay.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the kids and stuff are leaving, but the school community's enthusiasm and energy is contagious. Let me just say, from sitting there, contagious. It's awesome. So,
Thanks, Susan.
so on to non-lapsing. So I know that there were questions about things at one of your previous meetings. And so it's my hope today to clarify that and answer any questions that you might have pertaining to that. So the town had requested a small change in procedures with expenditures out of the non-lapsing. And that request was for the Board of Ed to approve the expenditures that were coming out of the account. And we had done that for two reasons. We wanted to continue to strengthen internal control, and we wanted to abide by the statute, which stipulates that the Board of Education should be signing off on these expenditures. Now, it was not at all meant to be cumbersome or more work for any of us, because none of us need that. But instead, just clarifying the procedure a little bit. And basically, it could look like this, or should look like this, if this was easiest for you. The Board of Ed would continue their original procedure, which was to approve whatever expenditures were to come from non-lapsing up to a certain amount. And then the only change would be once that expenditure occurred and an invoice was presented to the central office for that, then the chair of the Board of Ed would just sign off on the invoice, knowing what had gone on for conversation and votes with the board in previous sessions and the approvals therein. And then the procedure would be much the same as it is now. The signed invoice would come over with a cover sheet. Only when it gets to the town, we're going to know that you all realize that this expenditure has been requested and that it's going to be processed. So that wouldn't change at all on our side either. I think the only difference here would be for the chair of the Board of Ed to actually sign off on that invoice, knowing that it does not exceed what you all have voted and spoken about earlier. So I hope that makes sense, but I'm certainly open for any questions.
Thanks, Susan.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions? I think Susan did a much better job capturing all of that than I did. Questions about the why and the sort of the logistics of how that will happen?
I guess, was there any issues in the past, or is this something new because of statutes? Or is it because the town wants to be a little bit more conservative as far as the approval cycle, or?
I think that it's multifactorial. I think that certainly we want to do the best that we can to abide by the statutes and create best practice. So I think that there's certainly that to take into consideration. And in our previous procedures, yes, there have been a couple of blips that both the treasurer and I have found that gave us a moment to say, hey, maybe there's a better way for us to do this. And so that was part of the decision as well.
And I think our account is still pretty young in that as we use it, we'll find better ways to sort of do things. And this is one of those
Sure.
things it sounds like that you said, I think if we do this, it makes it a little better.
Absolutely, no doubt.
So it's another vote, I guess?
No,
or it's
no
just
other vote.
No other votes, just we approved it and then we validate the final reconciliation of whatever came in as the expense on the ledger.
The only vote that I would ask for is the one that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which would be you all empowering me, once we have approved up to a certain amount, that you would empower me to go and sign that paper when the actual invoice was there.
For me, the most important part of the procedure is being able to approve up to. I'm fine with the chairperson. I appreciate the clarification. I'm fine with the chairperson signing off on it. In fact, while you were talking, it just brought me back to my PTO days. I was the president of the PTO, and if there was a check written over, say, $500, maybe it was 1,000, but it was a number like that. If there was a larger number check like that, PTO, that was a big number. That both the
is.
secretary and the president had to sign the check. And it wasn't because we didn't trust anybody.
No.
It was just, it was just to keep things more
I think that
streamlined and efficient, that's all.
Do we have a policy on the non-lapsing?
I think that we have a policy that we approve up to what we are going to do, and
So
we have that
maybe we
memorandum of
should-
understanding. I think this is really a policy on the town's end. Right? This is their request, not
No,
ours.
I know it's their request, but it would be in our policy of what our procedure is, and our procedure would include the chair signing off on the final
Sure.
expense. I mean, could we just amend our policy so it's clear?
Troy, I don't think I've ever seen a policy.
I think there might be one, but I think if there is one, it's so general that it doesn't have those specifics.
I've just seen that thing, the memorandum. Yeah.
Can I just ask, because the mention of statute and following statute, which statute, and were we out of compliance prior to this? I guess I'm confused by the aspect that it's being presented as this is the way that we have to do it to better follow statute. And I read through the state statute and I don't see where that interpretation is. And I just want to make certain that if we haven't been following statute, that we understand why that wasn't happening and which piece of that statute directly applies to this process.
So the statute is section 10-24, 248A.
Right.
It has just been amended.
Because the only thing that references in terms of any process is directed to the Board of Finance, but not to the Board of Selectmen or the town offices, correct?
So if you look at the very end, number 3, it says each such expenditure shall be authorized by the local Board of Education for such town. Now, that was in the previous version as well. That wasn't the portion that was amended. You are correct.
But it allows the up to process because that's
Of
even,
course.
because that was also stated in the new legislature that just went through or didn't go through. That's in the process. of
It
going.
is.
It's,
Yes, so it was never the town's intent to change your process here in how you vote or what you vote on. Or even what.
my concern is just that when the comment is made that we're not properly following statute,
Okay,
then I just get concerned about the idea that, I mean, that to me is what dictates what we're supposed to be doing. So if there's something that we're not doing, then that's very different than this would be something that we would like versus this is something that we're doing incorrectly.
Susan, can you correct me if I'm wrong? Because you and I have had this conversation. So, Chet, number 3, each such expenditure shall be authorized by the local Board of Education for such town. That obviously was it's in the current statute, and it's also, that language hasn't been changed moving forward. And this really,
Following other towns, the way they do it is the up to process.
sure. So
We're
I
looking to
think.
do something different.
So we're gonna keep doing that. I think what Susan's saying, and I think what Bob has agreed with here is that they think that up to is great and isn't not in accordance with statute, but they want, because it says each such expenditure shall be authorized, they want the actual purchase at the end of the day authorized. So up to is great. They're just asking us to tighten up that process a little bit. And when we say up to 4,000 and the actual expenditure is 3,752, that we're going to actually authorize that. So I don't think anyone's saying we're outside of statute, but rather we could be more complete in meeting it.
It's Chet. So I think you're misunderstanding the point. We don't have any appetite to tell you how to spend your money. I don't really care how you spend your money.
No, I'm
But-
just, what I'm concerned about is the idea that it's being said in open meeting that we're not following statute.
Well,
And I
I'm-
just want to make clear that we are following
So,
statute.
so we're not, I'm not saying that. I mean, what I'm saying is
Oh,
this is what the town,
okay, then
this is what the town's
I
asking
misheard.
for.
I apologize.
So you have, when you approve up to a certain number, you approve up to $20,000, that's great. But the bottom line is the town then has to sign the check. We have to have 2 selectmen and we have to have the treasurer sign. Every check we do gets signed by 2 selectmen and the treasurer. That's our checks and balances. It's happening right now as of today. We have checks ready to be signed. All we're asking for is if you've approved up to 20,000 and then you have an invoice of 17,000, we're asking for someone in the board, in this case, the chairman, to say, yes, we agree the 17,000 should be paid by the town. You agree that was in the, what you've already approved. That 17 is what you've already approved up to. Now, let's say the check is for 21,000. You've only approved to 20. We're asking then to go back to the Board of Ed and have you change your vote because now you're exceeding the 20,000 you approved up to. So all we're asking is that when we sign a check, we can be comfortable that we're signing something that the Board of Ed is behind and and it was done the right way. That's all. So if you're trying to buy a backstop for $20,000 and a check comes and an invoice comes in for benches, well, that wasn't what you approved. We want to see a check for what you approved and then we'll sign it. That's all it is. So it's just the town, the bottom line sits with the town because we ultimately sign the checks. If it's myself and Brett or Brett and Nicole and the treasurer signing, they've signed off on something they have to be comfortable with that you guys are behind it. You guys approved it. That's all it is. So it's just another check and balance. We don't care how you spend your money, as long as it's within what you've already approved. Does that make sense? Maybe not. But we're not telling you not to approve up to, because you can do that all the time.
No, it makes sense, but I feel like we've already done, I mean, we've had situations where it's come over, Troy has come back to us. We have reapproved the process of things that we approved, then changed prices, or we didn't do them immediately, so something was put off. And I just,
We're not asking you to hold additional meetings and additional votes. All we're asking is when we get a check, someone, in this case, your chairman, if that's what you choose to do, has looked at the invoice, said, yes, this invoice falls within what we've already approved. And yes, the town, please sign this for us. That's all I'm asking. That's what the town's asking.
And I get it, and I don't want to belabor it, but I guess in kind of echoing what Chet is saying, we already have the process that if it goes over that up to amount, that it comes back to us. You don't need to ask us to do that. We already do that. And how is this different than our regular budget where we trust our superintendent, who is the CEO of that money, to, why would there, what about other expenses in our budget, that maybe got approved that we didn't budget for or something? I mean, I guess I'm just trying to, in my mind, determine what is the difference, or why are we singling out the non-lapsing versus our regular budget?
We don't sign the checks for your regular budget.
Okay.
That's number one. Secondly, Susan, maybe you can talk about in the past, who's been signing off on these checks before we sign them?
Okay, so the procedure prior to this request was that we would get a cover sheet with the list of invoices that were supposed to be paid from the non-lapsing. The business manager signs that and sends it over to the town. That has not occurred on a couple of occasions where the request has been made to withdraw the funds from the general fund. That in itself adds to transferring of cash in different ways when there's an error and an error has to be corrected. And so that leaves us wondering if this is truly the list of what the Board of Ed really wants and acknowledges needs to be addressed or paid under the provisions that they voted. So in an attempt to strengthen up internal controls so that some of these other procedural issues don't occur, we went back, we looked at the statute, and we said, gosh, I think the intent was always there. This was the central office basically signing off on the Board of Ed's request or approval for a certain item. But because some of those internal processes didn't seem quite as strong with follow through, it made us look back and say, hey, maybe we could strengthen this up a little bit, which we're always striving to do, best practice, and go back to the statute and say, hey, it does say the actual Board of Ed. We should ask the actual Board of Ed to be doing this.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, or
Can I
concerns?
just add, will this become a moot point pretty soon when the new legislature moves this to Board of Ed control as opposed to town control in the first place? Isn't that?
I don't think so. I'm not sure that I understand the statute to that depth, but I can say my understanding of the statute still that clause still remains in there. And it's just takes the amendment takes away the need to have a Board of Finance or a Board of Selectmen grant you the ability to have a non-lapsing account. That was my understanding, but like I said, that's not my
I may have missed, but my understanding was that the account was going to be held by the Board of Education and not by the town.
I'm
Chad, I
sorry,
think
can't
that,
speak to that.
Bill made that statement, and it's not right. So if you look at page 13 that I sent out to you, the only piece that's been taken out is the Board of Finance in each town having a Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen in each town having no Board of Finance, or the authority making appropriations for the school district of each town. So all it means is that this new version says that every school can have one unless every Board of Education can have a non-lapsing account unless there's a specific ordinance in the town that says that they can't, and that we no longer have to ask the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance can no longer take that account away if they want to, and the Board of Finance can't ever change our memorandum of understanding that said that we can contribute up to 2%. So they couldn't one day say, we'd like to change that so that you can only contribute up to 1%. So all it does is take the Board of Finance approval of us having the actual account out. It doesn't change where the account lives or the procedures in us spending out of the account. I also, and you could take a look at it, I found this great sort of interpretation of new laws, and it's in here. I thought that was really helpful. And then I spoke with Greg Howard briefly about the change and what was the intention and what should we really be looking at. And I'm sure if we still have questions, he can come in and talk a little bit more about it. But it wasn't, when I dove into it, it's not very complicated. It just removes the Board of Finance piece.
I feel like it's the same policy that we're doing now, and the only thing that we're adding is for Stephanie to sign saying, okay, here's the final number. Let's, move the money over to the account, and then we can release the rest of the funds back into the non-lapsing. I think it seems like a very simple and transparent procedure. That's it.
Any other questions for Susan? Any questions for Bob? Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion that we were trying to do before to authorize the chair of the Board of Education to sign off on the actual expenses once the up to has been approved.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chairperson to sign off on expenditures up to.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? You good? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Do you have an accurate count, Irma? Do you want us to do that again? Okay, so approve. Oppose. Abstain. Okay, all right. Absolutely. Do you think you can do that? Amend the policy? Thank you. All right, thanks, Bob and Susan, for taking the time to come in. I appreciate it. All right, so policy and advocacy. This is really, it's a lot. This is a lot.
This truly is the longest meeting in the world.
Yeah.
So just really quickly, because I did gain access back to the CABE site and was able to research better regarding the bylaws now that I have the correct password again. The only oddball we have here is the 9030.1. The advocacy piece is within bylaws according to CABE, and I can't for the life of me now find the email that I got regarding an advocacy policy. I swear it came out in one of the updates that we got, but I believe now when I'm looking through the other pieces of the core policy manual, that it may have simply been regarding funding processes toward advocacy and the idea that the board is unable to fund any advocacy movements, but it came through as an advocacy policy. These others, 9020, 9020.1, and 9030 are all word for word the exact same things that CABE is proposing. If you look at their bylaws, nothing has changed in them. And it's just the 9030.1 that we have kind of as an outlier compared to what CABE has in their process. And then it would just be board member discussion regarding any of those roles or those of communication or those other processes.
So can we start with 9020? So Chet, you're saying that CABE continues to use
word for word
9020?
This is their within their policy website for their bylaw 9020. This is what they state.
Okay, I thought the language was a little old in terms of modes of communication, but I guess if CABE is still using it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Good enough
actually,
for them,
I
good enough for
printed
me?
them out and like held them side by side. I ended up split screening so that I could do it because I was like, there's got to be something that's changed since 2007. And again, the problem with looking at the bylaws on CABE is that bylaws are personal to boards, which makes it less that CABE is saying, hey, do this, because there are pieces that are statutory, but a lot of it has to do with what our beliefs are as a board.
Anyone want to talk about 9020 or with what Chet has said? Are people relatively comfortable with the language? I didn't find it to be
I
largely
went through it.
controversial.
I was wondering if what's the real value in this, of what we already do, I guess. And then I guess the only thing I saw at the end was the press release part should be only done by the board chairman. So maybe that was the only thing that had meat on it. The rest of it was kind of, I don't know. I don't see a lot of value add in having
Which
that.
we do have a separate bylaw in which it states that the
Yeah.
board chair is the public voice regarding press releases, statements to the public or other pieces.
It says this in this one too, the last sentence.
Well, right, but I'm saying like this, it's redundant
Oh.
with another bylaw. So the one piece,
That's just my thought is why vote it?
You want to scratch the whole thing? You feel like the whole thing is redundant?
I don't necessarily feel like it's redundant. I mean, maybe it is a little redundant, but communication is important and it is the concurrent responsibility of the Board of Education, and we all feel this way. But there may be a board down the road that needs to read a policy like this.
I guess, it made me think about, like, the statement that talks about that the superintendent will work with members of the Board of Education to conduct an active and comprehensive program throughout the school district. Like, I just didn't know what it was getting at in this.
I
Like,
thought it was timely, given that, like, we're looking at the
Well,
communication.
That's what I was, when you
Yeah.
mentioned that, so I guess I'm of the opinion to keep it, but then add maybe your communication plan to this or somehow integrate it together. But I didn't really know what that meant.
I
'Cause I
felt
don't
like
think-
it was a sign that we need a communication plan.
Well, and the tricky thing would be if we're gonna add a communication plan in here, the problem becomes that we would then have to be able to adjust our bylaw every single time that we added a staff member or a new position, or, now we have the curriculum director. So if there's gonna be a communication process regarding curriculum and those pieces, and because the bylaws are more complicated because we have to give that full month-long time period, I feel like it gets tricky when we start. I feel like sometimes less is more with the bylaws, but
But that would mean that we're doing what the bylaw is saying.
well, and having that communication
Right.
plan is separate outside of it. It's kind of like when we have our policy versus our whatchamacallits? Regulations, thank you.
So if we're not going to change it, do we need a motion on it, or do we just move to update for review date, or it's already been approved, so.
If we're not going to do anything on it, I would almost say that we leave it be to the end where we do that en masse, so we have the same date on them all. We talked about it, I think briefly last meeting, with the idea of either do we want to change them as we go along, or do we want to change them in mass? I think the changes we should do as we go along, I think was the general consensus of the board, was the idea that if we're going to change something, we should do it right away, but then at the end, again, do a massive consent agenda of the entirety of the bylaws, so they have the exact same day
Yeah.
of when it goes through. So I would say that what we do is just pass by it and we can continue on. If people don't want to change it, they want to keep it, and we're just gonna leave it, I think we just move on.
Okay.
90/20.1 has
90/20.1.
has weird language. The fourth paragraph down, I'm not a fan of, where it says school board members, comma, respected by legislators, are powerful advocates, comma, which is totally not where that comma should be, with the responsibility to explain to legislators, comma, the local, like it would make, well, Brian, you were an English teacher, probably give splitting migraines to people who would edit these things.
When I read this, and I know that this appears in the CABE sort of list, I don't like this as a bylaw. I could see why CABE wants to keep it, their names all over it. But I don't like, first of all, I don't think that we do it. I don't even know that we want to say that this is what and how we're going to do. And I wonder if we want to talk about advocacy, can we make ourselves, if we feel compelled, a policy about it, or what the boundaries would be? This just feels to me,
I agree, and I feel like the weird thing for us as a board is that often avoiding some of those larger advocacy pieces of things are how we maintain a very civil board. Because we're not, like, some of the things that came through
yeah,
from other boards of ed that hit our email have been very pointedly political and
Very.
not necessarily educational. And I feel like, unfortunately, I would agree. To me, our board exists to make sure that the kids in North Stonington get the absolute best education that they can, and that's our point. If what we need to be able to do individually is work on advocacy pieces that we think matter to us, I think that's what we
Yeah.
do. And I don't believe that again, some of these felt manifesto-y.
Yeah.
and This one.
So I make a motion to delete 9020.1.
I second.
We can't do that now, can we? Don't we have to say that we're gonna do it and wait a month and then do it?
No, we've already had these for a month.
We just had them for 2 weeks, though. Bylaws, we need a month, right? But I think we
These
can
just
agree,
came out last day. Okay, this just
we
came
can
out 2
agree
days
now that
ago.
that's what we're going to do, and then you're gonna make a motion to do that, so
All right.
we're gonna strike
I'm
that.
on board with that, definitely.
All right, 90/30.
So 90/30 to me, I think, is a more important bylaw, but I do think that we've had discussion regarding things like visits to school, and it's been stated that's weird that Board of Ed members can just show up at a school. Again, this is the CABE language and the way that they set theirs up as well, but I know that had been a discussion at a previous time.
At our
Right.
retreat, I think, right? Didn't we talk about it once then?
I know at some point I had made the comment because I had read this, that, well, as a board member, I'm allowed to show up at the school.
Well,
and I
you have
can
to make an
enter.
arrangement, though. You don't just show up.
Well, right, but me, I can call Rob and say, I'm gonna go to the elementary school for a visit, and the expectation is that I would be granted that visit. And I don't know if that's what we do want. I feel like it's another one of those strange things where it may be for a board in the future, because I feel right now, if we were to ask any of our administrators that, you know, we'd really like to be able to see this or that in action, I feel like we have a very cooperative set of administrators with those things, but perhaps.
Well, and it's up to them, right? So if all of a sudden we're asking something that they're uncomfortable with, they could certainly reach out to Troy before authorizing that. And if they're like, we don't really see a need for you to come for that, they have that full authority to deny us to come. And I think they should have that authority. Because we don't need to just be I don't think any of us would, but again, a new board member wants to poke around just to poke around. I think we definitely want to make sure the admins have that authority to say no. Because it is their school.
And we should go through the superintendent anyway, right?
It looks like an admin, but so either way.
But that was the question that had come up previously, is that we
Yeah.
had been told that we only had access to the schools through the superintendent. And that's not what we have set up.
Troy, do you want to weigh in?
I thought this was the only legit policy out of the four, personally.
I
But-
think it could, it really, if a board member, and I think all of you, if you want to visit school, would be very well intentioned. There could be the situation in the future where we have a board member that is not well intentioned. And then if the school can't say no, and then they have a teacher, and the teacher knows that board members coming in to look for stuff on them, and is going to talk about it in the community and make a problem for them, then we, in that particular case, we should have the ability to say no.
This
So
says board authorization. Do we have to?
That's what I was.
That
gonna
could be-
point out. It says that almost we as a board would
Superintendent.
have to have knowledge of this and say, as a board, yeah, we say, go on in. I mean,
But that's only regarding official visits where things are going to occur. So for example,
so-
what comes to mind for me is when Jamie and I went to look at why we had so many exclusions due to COVID, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, like why did this one kid have COVID and then 172 kids were not going to school. The board in a meeting said, yes, we would like you to go and meet with the elementary school nurse and administration and try and get to the bottom of why there are so many of these quarantines occurring. That would be an official visit, because the purpose of it was board driven. Familiarity with the building or the processes, or the idea of, hey, I don't have a kid at the high school, I'm just curious what a day at a high school looks like. I mean, again, I don't think most of us are dying to get through the doors of our building. Our schools are pretty open, and we can participate in all kinds of things within our schools. But that official visit is the only one that requires the board authorization, because that's us doing something for board purposes. So if we were to say, hey, we're having complaints about such and such, we would like to be able to visit with these people to be able to see what this looks like, right? Oh, there's complaints that there's leaking ceilings, or whatever it might be. And again, I don't think that we don't take those steps, but I think it would allow us to, if the people in charge were not taking the steps they were supposed to.
With approval. So I think it's
With-
good the way it's written, really. As long as we have the superintendent and the admins approving it, and we're not just not barging through the doors, I think that would be the important.
No, I like 90/30. I think I pulled it just because of that visit to school, because it had come up in
We
a
had talked
previous.
about it.
So leave it as is, I think, is kind of the consensus for the
Okay,
next time. All right.
Good. 90/30.1, I'm gonna
I would
I'm
love
gonna
to
say I
strike
hate
this
it.
one,
Can we get rid of it?
Please.
Yeah. I don't even know what it's telling us to do. It's just saying a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
To me, it was almost like a behavioral code of conduct. The only thing I will say is that I think, again, with this board, it's okay, but what happens if things get rowdy?
But they can always change their bylaws.
Right.
But I also think that there's so much within statute, within the law that.
And the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yeah.
We also do have other pieces that talk about civil discourse in Board of Education meetings. It's within our policy as well. Like there's other spaces that discuss it. It is,
So let's scratch it.
yeah.
I think we all agree, scratch it.
Okay. So we know what we're doing in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Going on vacation.
Thanks, Christy.
No.
All right, excellent. Let me find my agenda and we can move on. Okay. Administrative correspondence, I have none. Troy, do you have any?
I have none.
Okay, so I think we might need to pull the minutes off of the consent agenda and just take a look at them individually. You'll notice in your board packet, you might notice, I don't know if you do, because you just got it tonight, there are the minutes, some mistakes were caught in the minutes and adjusted in the minutes that we have tonight as opposed to the ones that went out to us. So I don't have any concerns, but Judy, I think you found something?
Actually, I was just questioning on April 24th where it says Pledge of Allegiance, motion made to move superintendent's report, and then the Pledge of Allegiance was recited. I didn't know if that was supposed to be moved to a separate spot. Number 2.
So it says we did the pledge twice. Is that, yeah,
Well, I think it's just that under the pledge portion of the agenda was when you make motions to adjust the agenda. And so the call happens, the next step is the Pledge of Allegiance, but if we have adjustments to the agenda, then we break in at that point.
that's fine for me, you guys. Brian, do you have something?
No.
Anybody else?
Just general comment under, anytime we have public comment, if there's none, we should say there's none, or just, I don't know, just rather just leave it blank. So, because it's typically none anyway, right? Is it? Oh, I guess it does on the bottom there. Okay, I got you. Okay. Oh, one says none.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
it's
none.
No, make it consistent, either say one way or the other. Maybe that's why I missed it. Yeah.
All right, do we want to approve these minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for April 3rd and April 24th.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I think that's all of us. And does anyone want to make a motion to move our financial reports to the Board of Finance? That's a good idea. Do you want to do it in your motion? We're moving,
And include that it's the month of April that we're moving, so, and moving forward, put the month in. Thanks.
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Old business. Troy, do you have a playground update?
Yeah, just a few things. Yeah, so I think I said some of this before, but the bouncy balance beam and the Century Wave are the last two items that we ordered, and they are in. They're scheduled to be installed the last week of June. We know that wood chips are an issue and we would be ordering them ASAP and spreading them around. And we do have an inspection set for the playground first week of August. We have playground medic come in and make sure that everything is safe. So that's the update I have for now.
Are they gonna move some of the items?
They might have to move the funny bone
Yeah,
to make room for the sensory wave.
yeah. Okay, so they know that they have.
Yeah,
to
they
move
know,
some
they,
things.
they've
Okay.
measured it all and,
Okay.
yeah.
And how about the buckabout? How are we doing with that?
Yeah, the buckabout is the actual, the measurements are within the standard. So,
So it's just a crappy toy. Is what you're saying.
well, the people do use it, but we can revisit it again. But
Okay.
that we did have it, we had it measured. We had that it's within the measurements that it should be installed.
Okay.
So, and we don't know that kids use it. And we haven't had, I guess, teachers or parents complain to their principal about it. So, it doesn't seem to be an issue, but we could certainly ask them again if it's an issue.
Okay. Yeah, we might want to.
Okay, all right.
Can I just ask that we take the playground off our agenda moving forward? If our purchases have been made and our part has been done. I get, Jamie, that you have some concerns you could maybe find out on the side, but I feel like we could go over this playground over and over and over, and there's a million things going on at the school that we could go over and over and over, but I just kind of am wondering when we can move on from the playground.
I guess this was more of a follow-up because we hadn't heard anything and we were missing pieces. So I feel like it's our duty to kind of follow up to make sure that the pieces are installed, that they're installed properly, like things that kind of, we voted on and is using money.
Okay, any other conversations about playground? All right, so the steep grant and the irrigation update, Troy and Randy have been working really diligently to get the things that town hall needs to get to the people that would be doing the technical survey.
Yeah, but the main thing was they needed to know is any of the components of the irrigation system going to be in land that had not already been graded? And we finally said to them, no. All the land, all the components are going to be in land that's already been graded. It's not like it's, going down the slope into the marsh or anything. No components are going over there. So Randy gave them a nice little map labeled, and I think that's probably all they need. However, I contacted Tom Irwin, and he's supposed to give me a quote on producing a map of where all the components will be, and there'll be a cost. So I don't think we even need to do that.
Hopefully we don't need that. But I think that it's fair to say that like there's a lot of movement on it. And it's on the top of a lot of people's minds right now. So Troy, thanks for your work and thanks to Randy for making maps and doing all that other stuff. Any questions about the irrigation? All right, we are in the home stretch. We have no new business. For the calendar, I just wanted to quick go over our upcoming dates. So Christine, and I think you can probably help with this from a historical perspective. Troy and I talked today about over the summer, maybe combining a few meetings. What do we do? So we were thinking, tell me if you think this works. So 6/12 is our next meeting. We should do an executive session for superintendent's evaluation. And then we have graduation on the 14th. And then a lot of people sort of leave for a bit. So we were thinking of potentially canceling 6/26 and doing like a, everything we need to do on 6/12. We were then thinking we would do the real meeting on 7/10. Potentially that Board of Ed workshop / retreat where we do the self-eval on the 24th. And then one meeting in August?
Okay, so just a couple things. 6/12 is 2 days before graduation. Is it at all possible to scratch that meeting and do the evaluation for Troy on 6/26? It's a really busy time of year for myself.
I won't be there on the 12th because of our awards night that entire
Okay.
week. 'Cause our lead up to grad, I'm booked every night that week.
I don't have a preference.
And then Troy had,
I have an eighth grade graduation.
yeah. So, and then Troy had mentioned doing
Preston,
the
yeah,
evalu,
Preston's
self-eval and workshop September, October timeframe. I think doing, because you're talking about doing it 2 meetings again in July.
We were, and going down to one meeting in August.
I'd like to do 1 meeting. Personally,
Okay.
I'd like to do 1 in July and 1 in August.
So do you want to move the workshop / retreat with the self-evaluation to the fall and cut down the
That's
summer?
when we
Like
did
to.
it previously.
Yeah. And that's kind of what Troy had mentioned in his report.
Right, and as we were talking today, we were thinking about maybe doing it when there wasn't a lot of other
Right,
business
yeah, we were
happening.
thinking maybe, yeah, it could have been nice to have the retreat in the summer.
Can we just do it as our July 10th meeting then? And still do just 1 meeting in July?
I just to be a pain as a teacher, I'm gone the entirety of July, most of the end of June.
I-
Like, I
yeah.
mean, I'm gonna try and get to where I can get to, right?
Yeah.
But with with something like a retreat, it's a in-person only sort of a deal, and
Right.
I will definitely not be in the state for the entirety of the month. of
Yeah, well,
July.
that doesn't work then, let's not.
And I did like, I don't know how you guys feel, but that Saturday morning thing was kind of nice. I think if we could carve that out in the fall sometime. I know it's a busy time for the school year, but I know it's asking a lot of you, Troy, but I think we're a lot fresher in the morning and
Well, and I felt like the last time what we did was we did it in October because it was after all the beginning of the year purchasing, processing, everything else going on, but before the real stringent budget, everything started. And so if we did it at that end of October time period, I felt like it worked really well for everybody but me and Brian who coach soccer. But we can skip a soccer game, right?
Thoughts? Okay.
I mean, I think we can make, I think I can make anything work, whatever most of the board members wants to do with the retreat and the timing. You know, the idea, the benefit that we had talked about, today, Stephanie, was having a retreat in the summer would allow any kind of, input that board has into implementation in the school year. So, you know, but it's fine. I mean, the schools are running well. They have goals. They have Board of Ed approved goals. They're gonna still be the goals next year. So we could be fine having the retreat in the fall as well. And it might give you more time to read your assignment.
Well, and I feel like, I was gonna say, I feel like the retreat isn't for us to set up things for the school to do, but rather to figure out our own.
We want to do that
processes.
self-evaluation for
Sure.
sure. I think Nick from CABE was really helpful. I'd love to have him back if everybody else wants to. But I think, Chet, if we want to do some policy work, then I know we had talked about getting some policy stuff done in a chunk. If you're feeling like we're not moving fast enough, I think we could do that too. So,
I feel like the bylaw process right now is going.
Are we
pretty
doing
well,
okay?
Actually, I don't know. Do other people not?
okay, good. So if I'm hearing everyone right, we're canceling June 12th. We're graduating on June 14th. And we're meeting once for the month of June on 6/26. And then what do we want to do with July? We have the 7th, I'm sorry, we have the 10th and the 24th. Christine, you're suggesting we get rid of July?
We do one if needed, like you said. I like your suggestion. Maybe, so,
If needed.
so would we schedule one then and then cancel it if we don't need to have it?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
what we do?
Yeah, I would schedule it like the 24th, I think, and then we can always change it.
So which one do we want to keep, 10 or 24? I'm hearing both.
I think 24. Well, then pick the
Okay,
10th.
let's keep the 10th, okay?
Yeah,
But if you so desired, you could Zoom if you wanted to. Right. Right. Okay, and then, August, Troy and I were talking about maybe just 8:14 and potentially canceling 8:28, if that's like right at the beginning of school. Okay. That sounds good. Irma, I can send this in an email. I know we just talked about it a lot. Okay, so that's all I have about calendar. Is there any public comment in the room? Any public comment online?
Make a motion to adjourn then?
I'll second.
Don't all jump in at once. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all. That was a long one. Meeting adjourned. 9:00.